document it to share it out. So some of you, we post it. I mean, I post things on Facebook and Twitter, and Jesus, I actually want to ask if you have anything to say too, but but we try to tape the debriefs, we try to record it, we try to document it so we can share out, because like you said, we have moments where we're inspired by other people's challenges and their successes. And Kim and Brian both shared about calling home and some of the reactions they had from parents and students that were very emotional and unbelievable. Like, and I said, and in the email I said, it's teacher changing. Like we change as teachers just based on that experience. And I don't know, yours got like 700. It was like 400 at one point. Now it's like 700 hits. And for Facebook, it's not a million, but it's 700 other teachers are seeing, or parents or whatever are seeing the cool stuff that we're doing. So we like to share that back. So that's why we document. That's why we blog. I think self-reflection is really important. So whether you're just dialoguing about it with your peers, you're reflecting on the process, and sometimes documenting it and having another teacher read it, I think is very powerful. And I think we can agree. It's hard. And we said on the blog, you don't have to do a 5-page blog. You can put a picture up there with you did a picture and it's like, parents sent me flowers for my call home. Something that simple. It wasn't like a long description of it, but it was like, wow, that, for us, that inspired us. Sorry.
No, just really quickly, because I'm on the other end, I'm on the parent end, and I didn't even know that you guys were doing that. I kind of knew like you guys were doing something, but I didn't know what the challenges were. And I got some calls from parents. Like, oh my gosh, I just love your school. Do you know that your teacher called me to tell me? I'm never going to call like that. I mean, I got probably at least 6 calls. So it's effective.
And I mean, I think,
and that equals happy parents for me.
Yeah. And I mean, I think those of you who did call was like, who, what? And half the time it was like, oh great, what did they do now? And it was either the first call home they've had since elementary school, or the first positive call they've had home ever. So that's in itself was just powerful,
So part of that, some of us come from cultures that you don't get a phone call home unless you're in trouble, right? As a parent, you don't talk to the teacher unless you're in trouble. Right? A lot of our kids come from that culture, and to get a phone call home saying, your kid is great, it really starting to change that culture, which is something we need at this school, right? Something we've been working on for years to try to get the parents involved. So something as simple as a phone call home, say, hey, you know what, your kid's awesome, thank you so much, really makes a huge, huge difference.
And another thing, touching on the culture part, even when, like culturally, when someone does do good, you still don't get credit at home. We give kids more credit than they get when they come with straight A report card. Look, I got straight A's. So what? Last year you got a B. There's never you could graduate from high school. So what? What do you think? You're tough now? It's like, culturally, it really does exist, especially living in it. So I think that's huge when you get just a positive call.
So it could be something as simple as Johnny came to school, my class on time, 5 days this week. Even if he's not excelling academically, just something like that. Because you can't just say your kid's awesome. Bye.
No.
You should have something. Don't lie.
And that specifically is powerful.
There were kids where I had to rack my brain to be like, what am I going to say to this parent that's possibly true, and be nice? Do you know what I mean? Like, there were a couple of things where like you really had to think, and it was.
Yeah. What did you say about it?
She skipped it.
You don't skip him, but you say something positive.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I had a student, I just said he had an amazing sense of humor and he makes me laugh every day. And I didn't say he made me cry like 2 or 3 times. But again, it was that moment,
But I think
the kid came and thanked you.
With that challenge, it forced me to say, okay, the people in our classes are students, and they're just people. And so not necessarily looking only at the student as a student, but also as a person. I have students who might struggle in the class, but they're like the sweetest, nicest person that I know, you know. And so you're thinking about other things, not just necessarily assignments and grades.
Can I just, okay, so there's a student, her name is Astrid. Somebody called her parent and she was freaked out all day. Oh my gosh, they called, did you call, you know, right? No, I don't know, it was one of you guys who called the parent and said that she was improving and the mom was ecstatic. This girl is now in oh my gosh, I'm her mentor for the Army, Sunburst Academy, and she's going to come back and she's going to graduate. But what truly I believe inspired her was not only the work that, you know, she did with counselors and so forth, but that phone call home, it really made a difference. She's straight A's right now in this program that she lives in for 6 months. Straight A's. So that's like the reflection, whatever you guys are doing, I mean, it's obviously working.
So I guess we'll do phone consult again, maybe.
No teleparent.
Yeah. The personal phone call. Okay, so you heard a lot. Questions that you guys may have about the process, or
Is it years long?
we did it for a year. We contemplate. We've had some discussion on what would we change, what we do, and things came up like how we do we blog? Do we just do short Twitters? Do we do something just us? Do we, you know? We come up with that together. That's kind of the group to decide how they want to share out, how they want to reflect and share out. I have no idea where I was going. But any questions? That was a good question.
In terms of your blog, was it just like a Google Plus group or just like a Google group that you were on?
No,
or?
it was an actual.
Can we
lost some of the content.
publicize a little bit more? Because I actually didn't know we have one.
Yes, and again, we just did it. Like there were a lot of holes. There was a lot of things that we didn't do. I'm still writing a book about it, you know. But and we were gonna do like a final documentary. But we've got the pieces there. But you know, it's sometimes it's time, right? And a lot of things come up. But absolutely, and you're going to have your own power, right? So you're going to have your own content that you can share out. We're going to still have a website. So Jesus and I are working on making the updated teacher challenge. We'll have the archive from last year, and we'll be able to see all the video from last year and some of the blogs. But we'll have, depending on what we decide, we'll have our own way of presenting it. So we'll have new videos. We'll have blogs or Twitter or whatever we decide. So yes, and let me tell you, it watered out. It fizzled out, like participation. Not with this group. That's why I'm excited. But like it did fizzle, and so one of my goals is just to try really hard to have a group, because it does affect the rest of you. If like some people are dropping out or not blogging, right? It's not really fair to the other people, because they want to hear your fail, even if it's a failure. Like, tell me about it. What are you failing? Is there anything I can do to help? I mean, that's how we were to each other. So it is a commitment, and it is for a year. And some of you have a lot on your plate this year. I know that because we've had a lot of conversations. So I want to make sure that you guys know that we do meet. We want everybody there when we debrief, because we want to hear your experience. Even if you only called home to 10 people, we want to hear about that. You know, what are your successes, what are your failures, and learn. Were you going to say something else? No.
Michelle had a hand.
Oh, Michelle.
Like in terms of like blogging, is there like a place where you guys all go and you like blog? I don't blog.
Yeah. So
you go in there. And I'd never blogged before. It was a little weird to figure out how to do that stuff, and I didn't do a good job blogging as the year went on. And my commitment this year is to do a better job at the tail end of things, not be the shooting star for fizzle out at the end, but try to keep moving.
So it's a common website where you all create an account and go in and blog.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the way it worked last year was we had teacherchallenge.com, and you'd go to teacherchallenge.com, you'd log in, and then you'd post, hit new post, and then you type away, put pictures if you wanted.
journal. Like
Okay.
in your blog, you can make things like emojis and like. Yeah, it was just
Pictures.
Yeah,
Pictures,
and there,
journal.
yeah, like you could put pictures. You could, yeah, and some people wrote a lot, and some people wrote some, but at the end, it doesn't matter. You know, it's just about that collaboration and finding out what people are doing and figuring out how maybe you can take some of their successes and improve your own teaching.
Okay. So I was thinking in terms of like we would have to create our own website, like MissDang.com.
It's
No,
already been created.
Jesus
It's not personal.
is
We already created
the
Jesus
God. Yeah, he has created it. But we would have a little mini training because using WordPress for the first time, you know, it is like create a login, do your emo like a picture avatar. Thank you. Do your picture. You know, so we would meet one day at lunch or something, and Jesus would help get us rolling once we're kind of going with it. Any other? Those are really good questions, actually.
I have a. Go ahead.
What were some of the challenges from last year?
Okay, so
I'm sorry if I missed that.
we'll let Karen because she remembered all of them.
It was greeting students at the door, commit not to sit, collaborative pods, community service, the physical break, calling home every student with a positive message.
Attending 3 additional
The
outside activities that you
outside
wouldn't
activities.
typically do.
And then the last one was a teacher choice, and we had 3 options that I can't remember what they are.
No, it definitely fizzled by the last one.
And we might want to choose to do 1 or 2 less challenges knowing
Right.
at the end of the year. And I think the one that was at the Christmas break fizzled too, you know, and saying we need a little pause here because it was only 2 weeks and, you know, it was all broken up. That may be something we decide. It's not, you know, Crystal isn't here saying you have to do this and this. She just facilitates and we decide. And that's what's cool about it too. How many PDs where they make you do it? You know, I apologize if you didn't enjoy my focus note. You guys had to sit through that. But if it's something you wanted to go to and you're interested in, then that's a big deal, right? So that's what I liked about it too, is we got to choose.
And I'm not opposed to saying let's just choose the first 3.
No.
And then
Choose 3 more.
on that next month we choose 3 more, or you know, because the first 3 basically get us to Christmas break.
Yeah.
And then, you know, taking the break for break, and then coming back in January and meeting again and saying, okay, after this, I really want to do this. We can do that. We can do 1 at a time. I really don't care.
So everyone does the same challenge, or we each pick their own challenges? Oh, you do all together?
But it also looks differently between classroom and classroom. Like he
And there were
was
pros and cons
elbow
to that.
bumping.
So greeting every student at the door every day. So most people did it handshake, fist pump, elbow, whatever. And then there was one teacher that had a really hard time making that work for her class. I forgot where she was, but she said goodbye. She said goodbye to every student as they left.
Bye-bye.
And she had success with that. So, and we're not here to say no, that's really not what we decided on, because she made it work for her, and then she had success, and she actually was like, oh, maybe you guys had maybe it was different being first thing in the day or in the class versus leaving. And so we were able to have that dialogue. So it did kind of tweak. The one commit not to sit, I really fought for, let's take the teacher desk completely out of your classroom, so you have no teacher desk. I know they didn't go with it. I didn't get my way. But
She took my desk out of my office.
they were like, yeah, it's easy for you to say you're not in the classroom. Mine's bolted.
Yeah, mine's
bolted. Yeah. And some people got creative where they like turned their desk. I know you moved your desk to the back, but the challenge really is about not sitting at your desk when students are there. That you're sitting at the pods when your students are there. You're amongst them. You're not working. And that was really hard because
How long did they sustain that?
30 days.
You gotta be
1 month.
you gotta check student work on your computer or something.
You did that during break. You didn't do that when the students weren't in the room. You could sit, but when they're in the room, you were.
It's hard.
It was hard.
You know, and not everybody succeeded every day and every time. But it's like a weight loss program, you still have that donut. We're not.
Or two.
Yeah, but then you come back and you say that, like, wow, I did it really good for the first week, and then we can even have like, well, why? Why are we so used to?
I can see it be inefficient, where they're doing something you don't need to be out there, and you're just there because you have to be.
But you could constantly be interacting with kids, talking about their work, looking at what they're doing, asking them. Yeah.
And here's the amazing part: is we have student video. You can watch it, and we have you can, which some of these teachers did, like surveys after that challenge to the students. Like, did you notice that I did this, or how did it even affect the class? And they will tell you. That one in particular, students were like, I did my work for the first time for 30 days because that teacher was there. I knew that teacher at any minute could sit down next to me and ask me what I was doing. So you think you don't need to be, I'm just saying, I mean, that's kind of what happens during this, right? Is like, oh, they all seem to be doing their work, but then the kids will say, oh no, we weren't doing our work. I'm just saying, give it a chance, because you will discover things. And then the more you see, because we will come and visit your room and film and ask students stuff, and because the student feedback's really what ultimately matters. I mean, we find all these discoveries, but really finding out what the students are feeling or experiencing is the key.
Yeah, so it's not about you, it's about kind of what you're doing that's making an impact with the students in the long run.
So I was one of those that did not blog, did not go to any meetings, try not to go to meetings. But the challenge for me was to keep it all year long. So for me it was, okay, so not sitting after the first week, it was like a drug. Like, that desk is calling you, because you're used to you take a little bit of a break when you sit on that desk, right? And then you find out is that now you're walking a lot, and then you're tired at the end of it. But for me was
Alex teaches one period.
But I was tired at the end.
Just so you know.
But I'm gonna tell you, being able to sit with the ELD3 kids, ELD3, that by that time they're reading about 5th grade reading level, they can maintain a conversation, I mean, able to sit with them. And whenever I had the break, instead of going and grading papers, like, I sat with one of them and maybe asked them a question here and there, and then went over the work. Even though they were doing the work, I'm like, hey, what about this? Why don't you add this? That helped them a ton. And then to the point where when I wasn't, like, I would be standing in the front and kind of looking at my work, and they're like, what, you're not gonna come and sit? What's going on, right? And then the shaking their hands, because I moved over here and I kept forgetting that I had to come to class. So I was always like 2 minutes late to class. So maybe 3 sometimes. Yeah. So they would start their work, and then I made it a point. So now I'm walking around, right? So okay, they need to do the vocabulary words. So that's when I say, hey, how you doing? How you doing today? And I took that time to walk around and say hello to them. The relationship that you built, by the end of the year, like, I could have asked those kids to do a million things. They would have done it. And a few of them had projects. They had to put extra time. They came on Saturday. They were doing stuff for me that in the past I haven't had classes do. But for me, it was a huge challenge to try to keep it the entire year. And I invited people, hey, I told them actually that if I sit at the desk, then they would get an A in the next, automatic A. Whoever can't be doing that, they get an automatic A in the next test. So, of course, for finals, they were like, come on, sit on the desk. But it pays off. By semester, those kids will do anything for you.
You start to sit down. Oh man, okay, that was fun. Yeah.
See, I didn't tell them, and my kids were so upset when they found out. I didn't tell them that I was greeting them at the door because of the challenge, and then when I showed them the video, they're like, so you don't want to really say hi to us? I'm like, no, it's not like that. I'm like, oh, okay. So like, I had a few that were kind of sore about it, But then they got over it and they started calling me out on the challenges they did know. They would ask me, so what is it this month? So what do you have to do this month? And
you
they
had,
like knowing.
You had a lot of success in your community service project with your kids, and you did because you partnered with Voices, and you know, that stuff and it was very hard to embed that in your content time, right? It's like, oh my God, I don't have time to do a community service project. But when it's a challenge and you have to come and share, you make the time, and the what came of that was, I think, pretty inspirational just with the students and stuff. So those videos are on. You can check those out.
But like for if this is your first year doing it, like also notice that we're talking about these experiences in a very, very positive way, and we made our teaching harder last year by implementing these things, but we're walking away like we can go on and on talking about challenges, and the whole reason I have a Fitbit is because I did the commit not to sit, and so like it's amazing that I'm walking like 4 miles in a classroom in a day, but like it's awesome, you know.
Any more questions before we dive into maybe choosing?
How many months out of the school year do you do? Do you do every month?
Pretty much all year.
All year.
Just not June.
We did 8 because really we're here 9 months. Like if you take all the breaks out, and then I tried to calendar it so it was close to 30 days. So it wasn't just like September. It doesn't work out that way in our calendar. So you know, like I said, I kind of like the idea of just maybe starting with the first 3, and then reconvening after that break, and then coming up with maybe the next 3, and maybe we do 6, and that's a little bit more. It got tight. It definitely got tight, and it definitely got like, oh my God, and especially for us because we're trying to support and this is a much bigger group, so I'm trying to support you guys, and now I get to support myself, and then we're trying to document as much as we can and get to as many rooms as we can, versus it kind of ended up being the Westminster show.
And some of them take longer, especially the community service one. I mean, it takes you maybe 1 day, 2 days to get it together, but I mean, it takes long, and then the kids don't want to stop it either.
And with mine turned out way better than I ever thought it would, and it became something we did kind of all year together. So my classes partnered with the Voices classes, and we started in November, and we had a final celebration in April. So my students kind of kept going back and meeting with their students and working with their students, and it was a blast. My classes loved it. They loved partnering with their students. So it can develop into something more than what you think it is, and when it does, it's kind of beautiful. It's awesome.
You resisted that one.
I did. I was not having it, and then honestly, I went to happy hour with Josh on a Friday, and I was like, and I was all upset, and I was like, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do, and then he said something about special ed kids or Voices kids, and I was like, oh my God, that's it. Like, we'll partner with them and have my students who are, you know, all college-bound seniors kind of meet with these other kids who are so different from them, and it was awesome, and it lasted all year. So, so what we did was. So what we did was originally we called it like volunteerism for Voices. So I made like the cheapest, like I just got Ziploc sandwich bags and literally like typed like a label and just put like, do you have spare change? If so, donate it to Voices. And so my students had a week. They had the week before Thanksgiving.
They needed, Voices needed.
Right. So originally I had met with the Voices coordinator, Amy Shima, and Leah Guillen, and a bunch of people, and they wanted their students to enter an art contest, but they didn't necessarily have the money for the paint, the brushes, the matting, all of the supplies. So I gave my students a week, and I said, you don't have to, you know, break the bank. Like, just go out and ask your friends at lunch every day, like, who has some coins they can throw in this bag? And it ended up, we raised over $300 in a week, and we ended up being able to pay for all of the art supplies, all of the stuff they needed to enter the art contest. And then we did another push. One of my students was so into it that she and her church for a project, she and her friends did another push. So between what we raised and what Camille raised, who was part of my project, who did it on her own, they ended up having the opportunity to go and see, I think, a play or a musical or something at the Segerstrom Center. So it was really cool to see that this one student in my class liked it so much that she continued it in her own life, you know, on her own. So it wasn't just, you know, me, it was my students who were impacted, and then like they kind of, a few of them continued with that. So it was really cool.
And it had nothing to do with English.
No, it had nothing to do with my subject area at all.
Okay, so I'm not going to put anybody on the spot. If at any point you want to leave, you can leave. As I'm closing the door. The air, I was told the air doesn't work as effectively if there's other. But if you are in, just email me today. Just email me, and then I'll put you on the list. We'll set up a time that we can. Well, I guess then we can set up a time where we can decide if we're going to blog or something. But right now, are there any suggestions of the first 3 challenges? Anything that like you've always wanted to try? It can be the same one. It can be if something really excites you about last year's challenges, we can throw that up there, and then we can vote, and then we can tally the votes, and you guys can leave and do your thing for the rest of the day. And then just let me know if you want to be involved, and we'll reconvene sometime soon. So we can, but you can start on that challenge. If you're on board, we can start with challenge 1 tomorrow. So
I think greeting all students at the door would be fantastic for the start of the school year.
Yeah.
Mine went from a handshake to an elbow bump as the flu was spreading, which worked out fine.
Any other ideas for the top? Remember, we're going to list a bunch of ideas, and then we're going to pick the top 3, and we can decide.
I don't know how many people have been a part of like the instructional round, but I think that's very valuable. And then even potentially if we can do it at different sites.
30 days of instructional.
But and that's the other thing, like you're not doing it every single day. It depends on what it is.
But it could just be something where you pick someone else in this room who's in the challenge. You observe them during your prep period, during that 30 days, and you blog about it. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, 30 days of observation, but
and then apply something they do.
Go once, observe, blog about it, and
But even doing something like offsite too, because I think that's important to kind of see what it looks like at other schools.
Are other schools participating this year, or that was
So
just
for instructional rounds.
Well, got it. Okay, so other sites are doing their own, like we're doing our own.
Okay.
So Huntington Beach is, April Harbor is, and Fountain Valley is doing their own. And I'm kind of staying out of it because it was I had a hard time. I struggled with facilitating all the schools. So, but we have an idea of doing a summit. So maybe like mid-year we meet with the other schools and see what they did, or we Skype, or we do something cool. But they are going to do their own, and theirs may look totally different than ours, which is okay. So yes, but not really connected to what we're doing.
Maybe with the instructional rounds, we were talking about, Jessica and I, about having our certificate staff maybe join in with classroom. Sorry, classified.
I did the same thing.
With the classroom visits, and maybe do like a buddy system.
And maybe that can be, because I think you guys kind of want to maybe do your own with some classified stuff.
Right, I mean, it would be hard for us to kind of follow your same challenges just because we're not in the same
And maybe that
area.
could be one of yours, is that you guys do instructional
But I think it would be
rounds.
easier if we buddied up with the teachers, so that way we got to know the students more. Rather, if we kind of change teachers, then we don't really connect with the students as much. So maybe once we kind of get a group of classified that's in, we can kind of buddy up with people who would be willing, and it would be like maybe, I don't know, 3 periods out of the month or something. Where we could come in.
I was thinking that after maybe, then this would be the second, maybe third challenge, but having your students anonymously grade or critique your teaching, and you can do that Yeah,
Yeah,
you
you
can do
could
that
do, like,
online, so
yeah,
it's
we
like
do a
totally
Google form.
anonymous.
Yeah.
Which is extremely scary, but absolutely beneficial.
Every day?
No, but that could be.
Last year.
That was one
That was
of
one
my
of the-
choices.
Yeah, have the students evaluate your teaching. That was one of the teacher choice. And then the other one was what? Having every student speak every day, and letting them teach the class.
Oh, that was
Those were the last three.
Am I adding that?
Maybe not yet.
No. Second semester.
Well, just because it's a little early, they need to build that relationship
Yeah.
and all of that stuff with their classmates.
We need more than that, I think.
I really like the community service one because I did mine around Thanksgiving, and that really got them into the, oh my God, we have so much and other people don't kind of a mood. So that was a good one towards the end.
One thing that I was reading is it was like the gratitude project, which is every day be grateful for something. So even thinking of one thing you can be grateful for in terms of what your students have done in your classroom or that you've seen, or maybe even say, what are you grateful for today? Like, my friend told a really cool joke and here it is, and maybe promote that. And then another is goal setting. And so, use that acronym SMART, which is, I forgot already. SMART. Something measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. I can't remember what the S is, though. I'd have to look it up, but specific. You're right, specific. So even having them maybe just a goal for themselves and a goal for your classroom, and maybe coming up with a classroom goal that is SMART.
Like an attendance goal or something.
Yeah, there you go. It could be something that, specific,
I love that. It's like
measurable.
Creating daily
How
habits.
measure it? How is it going to be attained? What do you need to help you attain this goal? How can I help you attain this goal? How is this relevant, and what is the time span for it? So.
Okay.
I was thinking, because I know Joe is focusing on kind of those three pillars, but finding opportunities to also bring the community into the classroom. And that could be kind of the opposite, where like last year I had students, if you wanted to be a lawyer, like we got them to email lawyers, and they were getting like replies back. Like I had Stanford doctors emailing my students, and like they didn't believe they would get any kind of reply. But figuring out like I want to do that, like have more people come into my classroom, and also making connections outside of the classroom.
Like guest speakers.
Guest speakers, yeah, and I also like that email just because it's very personal, and so several of the students, the person emailed back and said, hey, if you're wanting to come in and shadow me, like feel free. And some of my students did that, and some of them are like, that's so creepy, Mr. Sarah. But like, because they never thought it was going to happen in the first place. They were scared.
I did that assignment last year at the end of the year with one of my students, and he wrote to a local electrician, and he ended up apprenticing with the electrician, and the guy was paying him like $8 or $9 an hour to be his apprentice. And I remember at first he got the email back, and the guy said, I would love to have you as an apprentice. And I said, you're gonna have like your parents like meet with this guy, right? Like, right? And yeah, the parents set up a meeting that weekend. They met with the electrician, and the kid ended up getting a job out of it and started working toward the career he wanted to become. So it's pretty cool to see that happen.
Like career exploration.
And this brings up a really good point that I want. So these are very good ideas, and we're gonna decide on one, and you're gonna be like, how in the heck do I make that a 30-day challenge? And I think we struggled with that because we were like, with community service, how does that? Again, we're not gonna put a lot of structure to it, and that can be very frustrating as a teacher because you want to be just told like, tell me what that 30-day challenge looks like. But the cool thing is once you wrap your brain around it and you think and you focus your attention to it, you're gonna do it differently than Gina. And then when you blog, that's like your first blog is, okay, my challenge was career exploration. This is what I'm gonna do for this 30 days. It's gonna look different than Eric's. and you're gonna read each other's and be like, I should have done that, or I'm gonna add that, or you kind of play off, and that's why it's important to share, because you can play off of each other's ideas, and then we come back and share, and then it helps say, well, wow, it was way more successful the way he structured that, and that teaches, again, we're lifelong learners. It just helps us. Were you gonna say something here? Zira? No. No.
I was, but now I'm trying to think what it. Well, some of the challenges are like, yeah, you're supposed to do that every single day, like
right.
this commit not to sit. But then we also did the extracurricular activities. Well, we weren't going to an extracurricular activity every single day. So some of them are more of you're doing it within that time frame.
But like I see this, right? And this is so funny because my mom started doing it. It must have been posted somewhere, the gratitude project.
It is.
Because my mom was like sending me all these emails.
There's UC Berkeley has a website called Thanks For, like THNX4.org, where you can blog your gratitude, and it's actually a research project that they do to see how gratitude improves happiness. So that's measurable. Yeah. So kind of applying science to that.
And I can see how that could be done every day.
Yeah.
In some, on a blog or on a Google, whatever, or sticking something on a wall, and every day you push pin something. I can see how that's done. These ones are a little bit less of an everyday kind of thing, or do you revisit that every day? But again, that you come up with how you, and you talk to each other. Like, what are you doing? It's a week into it. What are you doing? I only have 25 days left. And then you kind of go from there.
I know I was going to ask one, but is it every single class, or is it you pick a class?
No, every single class.
You can't pick the class.
So like every single class
I'm
has
gonna say hi to this guy, but I don't like those.
Even your mom.
I mean, greeting each other.
This guy, no, thank you.
Greeting each other would be
Thank
fine.
you.
I mean, all the other stuff. I'm just thinking like the
Even your
community
on-class
service
class.
project was all your classes. Try to find a way to get it.
But then, because of time constraints of periods, only certain kids got to actually do the art projects. So everyone was involved, but time constraints limited.
Yeah,
that.
you do your best.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
community service project my Avid kids did. I didn't do it with my world history. I wish I would have. It was just, that's how I made it fit, you know. But
No one-
ideally,
we're not,
I was jealous
it's for
of their,
you, and it's no one's gonna reprimand you. Well, we might kick you off the island if you stop walking.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to thank you all. I'm really into it. I just emailed you,
Okay.
But I have another meeting to attend.
Are you trusting us with our choices?
Yeah, I'm in. I already sent the email
Give me your top-
to you,
top
Crystal.
two, so I can give you a tally.
Is there communication too? Like call?
I still like the gratitude project
Okay.
because I came up with that. No, I contributed that. That's I'm in
for that.
And I like the greet each student only because it is the beginning of the year.
Okay. I wanted to get your tally in there. So.
Okay.
Okay. Do you want to? You come up and tally if you have any.
How about the communication one?
What?
Or why don't you call home or email?
Oh, I like that.
Oh, call home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not the first 3 months.
it's not
I'd be in for
sitting there.
second semester. First 3, I like that.
Yeah, you know, they divide it up.
No, I gotta do it. I gotta start at the end of the year.
Okay, I think we have enough. You're gonna just come and vote for 2, and then I'm just gonna tell you what it ends up being.
All right. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
And I don't know if anyone would be interested in doing this, but I had the idea of potentially testing this out.
Yeah, I'll go for the communication.
I think there's a science cobble creating here.
Goal setting and greeting. Yeah, we have a lot of things.
Okay, thank
So
you.
Julie, sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking, can we?
And I'll keep the list for the next 3. So whatever
Yeah,
doesn't
if
make it.
it can go on the list.
What was it?
I was thinking if we could do an attendance challenge and have it be like, hold on, have it be like like where all the teachers that are doing the teacher challenge would be involved, and have it be a competition between classes, and have like a 30-day perfect attendance, even if they don't all come and on time, but it would increase, I think.
And I would commit to making certificates for each person in your class.
That's so cool. I mean, and yeah, obviously you may get one who's sick and just has a flu, and I don't want them to come. But Don't get me
They're
sick.
still there?
But they're like, oh,
We're doing the challenge. We have to be here.
But I really think that if we all did that, that would increase the attendance.
I like it.
significantly.
I like it. These are all great. They're all great, so we have to decide.
So we got to get up.
And we can, and guess what? We can decide in December that we want to do 5 more. We can do.
I want to do that.
all flexible.
Not sitting.
Okay, wait, I'm going to have
You only have one.
Brian was in the middle of something when everybody walked.
Sorry, Brian.
I was going to say, like, even kind of test this out, and I don't know where everyone is because school starts tomorrow, but we have 2 days with the students. What about committing? Last year we had 3 days, and a lot of you took that challenge of knowing everyone's name. Can you do it in 2?
I barely did 3.
I also know a lot of people go over their syllabus and everything on day 1, but as a student, like, think about what that says. Like, the first thing I'm going to tell you about are my rules.
So boring.
I'm not interested in finding out your name. I'm not interested in teaching you something because this is a place of learning. I want you to know my rules before we move on anywhere. And so to me, like, I think that's really valuable. Not saying you have to do it and we have to decide on it. And it's a challenge. If you get 80% of your kids within 2 days, that's an amazing feat in itself too. So just a thought.
I'll throw that out there when I send you a final email.
Are we getting donuts?
It's just a caring guy.
I was trying to think of a cookie sandwich.
Wait till we all go out for cocktails.
What if we having each student like participate in something? So, for instance, you're going over the syllabus, and you're calling out students to participate, to be a part of, so that you start the school year, like getting everybody motivated and active, and it's like an interactive class as opposed to, like he was saying, just sitting down.
So how would I word
you would
that?
actually engage with students.
Can I add to that? What if we add the social contract to your first 2 days? Because then you're not giving them your rules. Then they're creating, well, what kind of atmosphere, I mean, you want to learn, and hopefully they will. But I mean, I don't know, that social contract, I'm glad.
Okay, but that's a 1-day thing.
Well, yeah, we'll add it to that.
Oh,
to
wow.
be engaging it.
Oh, got
to
it.
do the name challenge and social contract the first 2 days, and have them all buy into it and sign it. And I'm doing this with my choir kids, and we're gonna put up a poster and have Abby singers, and they're all gonna sign it, and they all agreed on how to act in rehearsal, and they came up with being on time to rehearsals. They came up with not talking during rehearsal,
Right. All right, we're off topic. I love it.
Because then that's an activity.
I'm bringing you back. I will send this out as an additional 2-day challenge. I will provide donuts for the winners. I just have to think logistically. Maybe we check on Monday if you have their names memorized. Maybe we won't do it, which is harder.
Yeah. You mean we have to lose a weekend?
So let me logistically think of that, and I'll add that to this group. But let's, for now, thank you.
Just be honest. The teacher can be honest.
Please don't vote if you're like, I can't do that this year. I love you guys. I'm not going to do it this year. Please don't vote. You don't matter. No, I'm just kidding. But before you leave, vote if you're planning on participating. I'm very excited. It's grown from 5 of us, 6 of us to at least 10. So that's going to be really cool. Any other questions or ideas or anything? And this list, again, we're gonna have a whole nother list for next semester. So don't worry if yours didn't get picked. Okay. Vote.